welcome to the number 20 edition of WWMS. I hope you guys had a nice week, and we have many things to break down in today's episode, including breaking down the new iPhone 15 and talking about our interview with Orioles reporter Connor Newcomb. But first, let's start off with our joke of the week. How does Darth Vader prefer his toast? On the dark side. We hope you guys got some enjoyment out of that very funny joke. Now, to start off the show, let's jump to Arav's geopolitical segment about Columbus Day.
What's up, dudes? Coming up this Monday, October 9th, 2023, is Columbus Day, which marks the day when Christopher Columbus's three ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, landed in the New World. On October 12th, 1492, when his ships landed in what is now the Bahamas, he quickly robbed the natives of their resources before creating colonies on the islands of Cuba and Hispaniola and capturing many native groups for labor. Columbus and his crew arrived back in Spain in 1493, along with 500 Native Americans, to work in sugarcane farms and more. The natives in this new world were referred to as Indians because Columbus originally thought that he was going to India. Because of this disturbance to the Native American population and all the suffering they went through, many states in the U.S. have stopped observing Columbus Day and have instead begun celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day. This holiday, celebrated on the same day as Columbus Day, is slowly developed as people change their views and realize, did Christopher Columbus really discover this? And with that, Happy Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day, and peace out, dudes.
You can find the Geopolitical on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, for our gamers out there, NHL 24 is coming out today for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X/S, Xbox One, and Steam. The all-time classic EA Sports game is releasing its 34th edition, with Colorado Avalanche star and former Stanley Cup champion Cale Makar starring on the cover. Makar, the first defenseman to be on the cover since PK Subban on NHL 19, is coming off of a campaign where he totaled 66 points in just 60 games and finished third in Norris Trophy voting for the best defenseman. The game is going to have a new goal instinct system and new overhauled physics. NHL is always one of my favorite games of the year, so I'm sure excited for its release. For our younger gamers, the hit Australian kids show, Bluey, is going to be releasing a video game. The video game will release on Nintendo Switch, PC, PS4, and PS5, as well as Xbox consoles on November 17th. The game will be rated E for everyone and is expected to be within the top 20 games of 2023-24. In other news, the new iPhone 15 came out on September 22nd, with its initial cost being around $999 to $1,199. Apple said that the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max use 35% recycled plastic in multiple components, using 100% recycled aluminum in the internal structural frame and a titanium coating. They also put in an A17 Pro chip, and the 15 Pro Max has a 5x telephone zoom and have changed the port from Lightning to USB-C for the 15. For our non-tech savvy people out there, that means if you buy the iPhone 15, you need to either have an adapter or buy a different charger. If you want to know more information about it, click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen. Now, for our movie news, there's going to be a movie based on the hit Broadway show Wicked. The show has made over $4 billion worldwide since its first performance in 2003. The Broadway show has had a variety of actors playing their main characters, such as Tony Award winners Idina Menzel and Christian Chenoweth. The Wicked movie, which will star actors such as Ariana Grande and Jeff Goldblum, is actually going to split into multiple parts, meaning to get the full story, you might need to wait a little while. Part 1 is set to come out on November 27th, 2024. In some more unfortunate news, the longest-serving California mayor, Dianne Feinstein, passed away this week. In 1992, the Democratic senator served as a United States senator until her death last week. She was 90 years old. May she rest in peace. In the NFL, it's been a brutal road for the Chicago Bears over the past 2 seasons. Last year, Chicago went 3-14 after letting go of players like Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn to contenders. But with the number 1 overall pick, in which they traded for wide receiver DJ Moore and a quarterback in Justin Fields, who continued to get better, it looked like Chicago could actually be a very good football team in 2023. Turns out we were all wrong. Chicago blew a 21-point second-half lead Sunday afternoon versus Denver, making it now 344 days during the time of this recording since they last won a game. Brutal time in Chicago, folks. It's official that the Baltimore Orioles have the number 1 seed in the American League for the postseason, winning 100 games for the first time in over 40 years. A few months ago, I got to talk to sports announcer Connor Newcomb, who is the voice of the highest-rated Orioles podcast on Apple Podcasts, Locked On Orioles. Here were the best moments. All right, now we've talked about the broadcasting side. Let's kind of transition here to this baseball club that we both cheer for that happens to be the best team in the American League. What a season this has been for the Baltimore Orioles. So, obviously I kind of have a feeling what direction you're going to go with it, with this answer, but I still kind of want to hear from you. What do you think has basically been the most important thing that has kind of taken the Orioles from 2 seasons ago, a 52-win team, to now we're sitting here, they got like 60 wins on the year, legitimate contender. What has kind of been that main difference to make this team kind of worst to first?
Yeah, I think this is kind of the overarching answer rather than saying, I could say, Yenye Cano becoming, a great reliever, or Gunnar Henderson, playing a full season in Major League Baseball and having his bat in the lineup, or, other guys getting better. That's a huge thing. But I really just think it is depth across the board. Yes, the Orioles have holes, but I think the depth across the board is that the Orioles don't have these like glaring weaknesses on this team. Like the offense is pretty good. The bullpen's pretty good. And at this point, the starting pitching is pretty good. And when you combine that with the fact that they have some budding young stars like Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, but also some younger guys and also some guys that have taken a huge step forward like Kyle Bradish and others, they just don't have like a glaring weakness right now.
But the reason why the Orioles come as such as a surprise to casual baseball fans is they're like, okay, they got Rutschman, they got Henderson, they're young guys. Who's the popular big name? Who's the Aaron Judge? And I feel like sometimes people are realizing that that's not the Orioles. They just have a better team than everyone else. But obviously you have to have great individual players to have a great team. Who is the one player that you think kind of gets overlooked that really is a key contributor to this roster and helps them be the best team in the American League?
I mean, I guess you could say Ryan O'Hearn, but he's almost doing too much lately that I think people are starting to realize what Ryan O'Hearn is doing. Right. Now, fans of baseball that follow like a lot of the teams and follow it pretty closely probably still think of O'Hearn as a guy who was a nice prospect with the Royals, had a nice rookie year, and then forgot how to hit for 4 years. Now they're coming back around to see, the Orioles fixed something with Ryan O'Hearn. Like, who would have thought on opening day that the O's would be in first place in July and Ryan O'Hearn would be their most productive hitter at this point? I mean, he's hitting fourth. I trust him every time he comes to the plate. Now all of a sudden, Chase, he's hitting lefties. Wasn't doing that before. Got 2 homers in the last week against left-handers. Almost, it was very close to having, if the O's would have won that game and held on in the 9th last night, it would have been 3 of the last 4 wins. O'Hearn would have had the game-winning hit in the 6th inning or later.
You can find the full interview on the Cool Sports Network, which you can find on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you guys enjoyed the 20th edition of WWMS. We hope you got some information on a variety of topics, and if you have any tips or pieces of advice, please let us know. Shout out to YouTube channels Mr. TC, Mr. Latte, Chase's Sports News, and Sports for Kids, alongside Arav Kapoor. Signing off here from Fairfield Woods Middle School, I am Chase Coburn, and we'll see you next Friday. Now, for our interview this week, our scriptwriter and Edda, and you can find them. Wait.
2, 1.
He's recording! Oh my god! People, come on. Boom, that was a good clap, baby! Came on the show. I can't